So we're here, it's March 2020. We're in the middle of a global pandemic, and we were shocked to find out that there are now scams being perpetrated against people who are in desperate need of jobs. So what you call money mules are these activities where somebody will reach out to you and say, if you want to earn some money, these are the steps you need to follow. And they bait you, and then they eventually send you some money, and then you're supposed to open up a Bitcoin wallet or use a QR code and go to a Bitcoin ATM, and essentially help these people launder money in an irreversible transaction using Bitcoin. So this is just insane that people, I mean, you hear about potential looting, physical looting, happening as the seams of society might come apart in social distancing, but you really don't expect to be hooked in with an email.
Yeah, and what's crazy to me, Nisa, is it's so hard to explain how to create a Bitcoin wallet to, everyday people, because that's remains one of the technical challenges of Bitcoin. And there are organizations whose very scam relies on getting people to open a wallet, and it's nuts. Can you explain a little bit about the tech when you say that it's irreversible? Because I understand that from like a high level, but I think I still get caught up in, what do you mean it's irreversible? Like, because people have these addresses, so can't they somehow, why can't they get their money back?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So Bitcoin, built on blockchain technology, being a global, immutable record, distributed ledger, that once a transaction is added to the chain, it's irreversible. So if you're mining in proof of work on Bitcoin, if you're mining a block, then once it's added or mined, you cannot change it. So I guess I'm not exactly sure how in this instance they are doing that, but my guess is that by using one of these Bitcoin ATMs, they're able to process the transaction. Although I think it might be really hard to find Bitcoin ATMs. I mean, there aren't that many of them across the country. So it's kind of like, I guess it's just, they feel it's easier to launder money this way. Although if you look at companies like Chainalysis, they've actually been able to track Bitcoin money laundering and bust up crime rings that way. So I think that these nefarious people are being a little bit short-sighted by doing this. But I guess in times of desperation, when there are all these layoffs going on and people really need the money, that they're willing to do it. Although going out and finding a Bitcoin ATM is breaking the stay-at-home and social distance policies. So it's kind of brings up all these crazy issues.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it sounds like from the article that what's happening is, say I'm the person who has decided to go to a Bitcoin ATM, put the money in, which they're sending to me some money, and I'm being asked to put it in a wallet, and I'm going to get some money back. But the money they're sending me, they've actually hacked. So it's like dirty money, so to speak.
Right.
So I'm helping them launder it, and I'm getting a cut. But so I'm not, it's like a multi-layered scam, because I'm helping them scam somebody else. And
right.
then I'm actually not necessarily being scammed. I'm just being kind of
Well,
dragged into
you
this, like,
become an accomplice
mhm.
because you're taking a cut. You may not know that you're doing that, but that's what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, who
I
do you,
mean, to me, this kind of brings up this whole narrative that's happening right now about privacy. So if you read recently, like the privacy versus health data argument, in that now our data in terms of our temperature or our location or our cell phone records or facial recognition software, that's all being aggregated right now and fed into probably artificial intelligence algorithms that then interpret the, or try and track the spread of the pandemic
mhm.
and limit it. But this is really like biometric surveillance that Yuval Harari, the author, talks about. And so while there was already this privacy battle raging, especially with U.S. regulators against big tech, what happens now? Is it worth giving up all that data in order to control a pandemic, right?
There's just so many layers of vulnerabilities being preyed upon. Even in this article, it's saying like they're getting masks in is part of like these deals. So it's like, they're like dangling this rare commodity in the face of like all this fear going on, and somehow convincing these people to go to the ATMs, and like you're saying, all this biometrics. And yeah, what are we're being asked to weigh our privacy with our health. And I don't know, like I feel like might come back to this again, but there's all this like talk on Twitter, at least within like the crypto space and the tech space and at large, like, is this all a big conspiracy to just get our data? And this is the surveillance state that they've always wanted. It's so funny. I mean, I am seeing that argument across like all parts of the political spectrum, that they all think that this is like Big Brother, like finally kind of landing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have any thoughts about that.
Yeah, I've seen some of that dialogue. Well, initially it was about China being a surveillance state uh, and being able to have a command and control economy and being able to shut down. And then people question, would the United States be able to be shut down like that? It's a democracy. And I think everything now just becomes politicized, like red states, blue states, one party or the other. And it sounds like that's what's happening with regard to our data and Big Brother. And certainly there's no shortage of conspiracy theories going around. And we could probably have a whole other episode just on conspiracy theories surrounding the pandemic. But I just think it's really interesting what freedoms or what privacy are people willing to give up, and do they do that in exchange for the safety, right, of living in a surveillance state?
Yeah. Yeah, I just keep going back to thinking about somebody who doesn't really already understand how Bitcoin works. And if somebody came to them with like fiat currencies and asked them to do this very same thing, I mean, I wonder if this same scam could have been done with fiat. Do you think using Bitcoin made these individuals more susceptible to going through with this scheme?
I don't know. It's a good question. I know that there's a ton of money laundering going on in fiat anyway.
Right.
Uh,
That's true.
if you use Bitcoin, it's probably easier to get caught if you're a money launderer. But
Mm.
um, I'm not sure why in this case they did use Bitcoin. Well, more for another day.